Welcome everyone to MS Office Hours. It is Thursday, October 9th. Let me please introduce our hosts.
Hello, everyone. My name is Heather Cox.
I'm Dwayne Hyatt. How y'all doing? Hey, Garrett.
And well,
Gosh,
hang
I'm
on,
just so
hang on.
excited. I can't help it.
I'm so excited because Garrett is so popular that he had to split his time, and we know that Endpoints is love, and so we were like, Garrett, you do you, but you're always welcome back because you are always a part of this community. And because Garrett, I don't think you were on when I said this, because Garrett is such a good friend and coworker, he decided to acknowledge my love of T Swizzle and the life of a showgirl, but he's been living the life of an endpoint admin. And so he gave us a beautiful title this week. So Garrett,
Well, look
it
at
is now.
this.
Oh my gosh, Garrett.
Just
Like,
for you, Heather.
I can't. I'm done. I'm dead. Y'all, Garrett, I told him, I was like, Garrett, I loved you before, but I love you even more now. All right, Garrett, I'll shut up now. It's your show. Have a good time.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. So good to be back. So if you don't know me, my name is Garrett Chandler. I am a cloud endpoint solution engineer here on the Microsoft team. If you haven't heard some of the changes around Microsoft, we are kind of split between education and state and local government. So we're now the SLED team, and I cover both of those territories now. So I have a bunch of accounts across the area. So yeah, I had to choose a little bit where I spend my time, and I miss you all dearly, but so excited to be back. And for my dear friend Heather, when she reached out, I was like, you know what? We're all Swifties over here through Heather. So this is the life of an endpoint admin. Just hoping to give you guys some updates around kind of the Windows, Intune, Windows 365 AVD ecosystem. If that's relevant to you all, awesome. And hopefully you'll enjoy some of these updates. I did my best, actually, Heather, to get 12 major updates, right? One for each track on the album, but I don't know if I fully got there. But
Garrett,
let's go ahead and get started.
The genius, Garrett. It's kind of unmatched today, and I
know,
am
right?
here
I
for
had to
every
bring
second
it
of it.
just for
Thank
you.
you.
Just for
Thank
you.
you.
Awesome. All right. So if you haven't heard, I don't know where you've been, living under a rock maybe, but next week, October 14th, 2025, Windows 10 will be end of support. So if you have not migrated to Windows 11, you're already behind. You should have done it. You need to continue to migrate over. For those devices that cannot be upgraded to Windows 11 due to hardware requirements or constraints, we do have something called the extended security updates. So ESUs can be purchased. No matter what you've heard, they can actually be purchased today. You can go to your reseller, your LSP, and get those SKUs purchased. However, you cannot deploy them just yet. You will be able to deploy them next week when it matters. So know the difference between end of support and end of life, essentially, right? Windows 10 will continue to still operate, but you will not get any security patches for Windows 10. If you purchase the ESUs, it is an activation key that you will have to deploy out. And we've got some directions on our Microsoft Learn documentation on how to do that. You can use Config Manager, you can use Intune, you could use scripts, custom scripts that you write to get that done. Those devices that do have ESUs, they will continue to get updates for a year. For those that are not activated with the ESU SKU, you're out of luck, right? You need to get those devices upgraded to Windows 11. Now, specific to education, I want to call this out too, is that we have given a huge discount for those ESUs. So we are pricing those at $1 per device per year, but it's going to double every year for the next 3 years. So $1 per device this year, $2 per device next year, and then $4 per device the following year. Hopefully by then you won't need to be paying anything because you will have already procured new hardware or gotten Windows 11 deployed out there. So I didn't want to start this presentation without forewarning you. If you don't know, Windows 10 will be end of support next week. So get on Windows 11. And speaking of Windows 11, the next big update that I wanted to share with you all was last week, September 29th. We did release the fall update for Windows 11. So Windows 11 25H2 was released. Not so many new features on the end user side, so you're really not going to notice any major UI changes or anything around that. But lots of backend updates, right? So we've got things like quick machine recovery, which we'll talk about, support for hot patching, for admins being able to remove a lot of the pre-installed Microsoft Store apps. That's been an ask forever, it seems like, when we're deploying custom images out there. We want to be able to get rid of those built-in store apps, not just the consumer, right? Candy Crush, Disney Plus, those types of apps, but some of the other baked-in ones, like the native mail app and some of those other things. Actually, we deprecated that one, but you know what I'm talking about. You can even remove calculator if you wanted, but don't do that because that would throw everyone for a tizzy. So lots of good support there. Understand too that it's going to reset that lifecycle support. So with enterprise and education SKUs, you get 36 months of support for these devices. So you should see that clock reset for those SKUs. And I think one of the best features of this one is this is actually delivered through an enablement package. So what that means is that a lot of the cumulative updates that have been delivered to 24H2 devices have actually added all the code-based changes for the new features within 25H2. And so what we have is now just an enablement package that will essentially light up those components. And so all we have to do is download that EKB through Windows Update. It is one reboot. There's no waiting. Please wait while we rebuild your profile and all that good stuff. You don't have to worry about any of that. It's one very fast update, and you will be on 25H2 with those new features already lit up. So it makes it super simple to deploy. So if you're using Config Manager or Intune today, this is a super easy feature update for you guys. One thing I also called out here is that Wi-Fi 7 support is there. If your network supports Wi-Fi 7, that's awesome. That's fairly new, so kudos to you guys. But soon, right, you're going to see those devices kind of roll that out. And so Windows 11 25H2 brings support for Wi-Fi 7. It is also utilizing WPA3 Enterprise protocol. So the trick, though, I want to call out for our Intune admins is that we don't have support for delivering WPA3 Enterprise profiles yet. So you will have to export, take a 25H2 device, connect it to your Wi-Fi 7 connection through WPA3 Enterprise, and then you'll actually have to export that profile and then import it into Intune and deliver it that way. A little old school, but it'll work. So just a heads up there. I threw a link at the bottom here for an IT Pros guide to Windows 11. And has all the details there for you. I'll get this deck out to you guys. I'm showing my screen right now, not doing PowerPoint Live, which I know Dwayne's probably like, oh, Garrett, but there's a reason for it later. So I'll get this deck sent out to you guys and all those links so you can review these. All right, moving on. Quick machine recovery. This is one of the features that we are lighting up inside of Windows 11 25H2, and this is really important for our IT admins to be aware of. So quick machine recovery is a new feature that enables the recovery of Windows devices when they encounter critical errors that prevent them from booting. It will actually go and boot into the Windows recovery environment, and it will have a network connection and be able to scan Windows Update for remediation options. So this is a new feature, which is exciting, but it was kind of delivered out of the past Windows events from third-party security tools that impacted millions of Windows devices last year that I'm sure you all can recall. So the engineering team has been hard at work on how do we make Windows more resilient, and this is one of our best effort mechanisms to ensure that those types of situations don't occur, or how do we quickly remediate from those. So it's really cool. The thing about it, though, is that it is disabled by default. So even though we've rolled it out in 25H2, it will not be on by default. So don't rely on it just yet. You need to go into group policy or Intune and actually light up the configuration. It's called cloud remediation. That is default on 25H2. We're also rolling it into 24H2 with a specific KB update. So just know that you need to go test this out in your environment, light it up so that you can leverage it if an event occurs and you need it. So really cool scenario that I think the Windows team deserves a lot of credit for delivering a path to ensure that we can get those devices recovered remotely and in a pretty seamless and automated fashion, as opposed to having to hand touch every device should they not boot. All right, continuing on, I think this is the fourth big update that I wanted to share with you all, and that is the Microsoft 365 companion apps. If you have not seen these, personally, I love them and I use them every day. Not everybody shares my beliefs or shares the same desire to use them, but I think they add a lot of value. So these are companion apps that are tied directly into Microsoft 365. There is a people app that allows you to search for folks in your organization. You can chat them or call them directly through Teams through this people app. So really good way to see the hierarchy within your organization. There's a file search, and the file search shows you all your OneDrive documents, your local files that have been downloaded, files that have been shared to you through certain individuals. It updates, so like when you download a document, it'll actually pop up within that file search tab, and you'll see that, hey, this is a recent document that's been downloaded. So quick access to all your recent files. And then there's a calendar app, and the calendar app will actually show you, kind of a quick view into your day or your agenda within Outlook. They're automatically installed on the devices. It'll be rolling out through the end of this month. So you're going to start seeing, I think there's a message center post out there. These companion apps will get installed automatically. And again, some users are going to like them, some users are not. If your users don't like them, they can unpin them. They can also disable them from starting at startup through your standard Windows settings. But I personally love them. If you decide as an organization that you want to remove them, and prevent them from rolling out ahead of time, there's a new option or a new IT control that you can add into your environment that I want to show you really quick, because it's a little bit hidden and it's not inside of Config Manager or Intune, which is usually where we manage our devices. So if you are familiar with the M365 Apps Admin Center, you know that you can get to this at config.office.com. As I navigate here, you will have to sign in. For some reason, we don't have SSO into this portal in a seamless way. You will have to sign in. And if we go down to customization and then device configuration, let me zoom in there for you. Click on this, you're going to see a new tab, or a semi-new tab. It's relatively new, called Modern Apps Settings. And under the Modern Apps Settings, there's a new tile in here called Microsoft 365 Companion Apps Preview. And you would click on this and you'll get a flyout that allows you to turn off that automatic installation of the M365 companion app. So again, this will be rolling out through the end of October, so your users may already see that. I don't think most tenants have gotten it yet, but it is starting to roll out. If you have an Insider Windows 11 device, you've probably already seen this, but this is the control that you would disable it tenant-wide. There are no controls in Settings Catalog in Intune or a GPO to manage that. So I wanted to show that and highlight that just so you can make your users aware. I do believe there's a message center post on this, so if you want to communicate that out to your users, again, if you want to start testing this internally, the Insider build should support it. So again, you're going to have mixed reactions on who likes it, who doesn't. I personally get a lot of value. All right, so that's really it from the Windows side of things. I'm going to touch a little bit more on the Intune side, and then we have some virtualization updates as well. So as we progress more into the Intune side, there are some significant Apple updates that occurred over the summer that if you haven't heard, I want you to be aware of. The big one is Platform SSO. That was in preview for a long time now. That gives us the ability to sign into managed macOS devices with our Entra ID account. That is now general availability. So it's been in preview for a long time. It's now officially GA. So if that was holding you back from deploying out to your Macs that are managed inside of Intune and Entra, go forth and prosper. It's a great experience for single sign-on capabilities, not just into the account itself, into the device itself, but also into the M365 apps there and after. The second thing that we've introduced, actually Apple introduced it, is for iOS and iPadOS devices, is that we now have a migration API. So we're essentially able to migrate Apple devices from one MDM to another without having to reset the device entirely. So this is new with iOS, iPadOS 26. And that means that if you're contemplating on migrating from one MDM over to Intune, we support this migration path for you to be able to have a much better experience on migrating your devices over. So again, I'll know, especially education customers, a lot of you struggle with getting those devices enrolled and having to touch every device that's in your environment. So this is a great method that we can now migrate all of those over to Intune. The third big update that I want you to be aware of specific for macOS is that we now have lapse support, which has been a huge ask from customers like yourselves for so long. That if you're not familiar with lapse is stands for local admin password solution. And what it does is it gives you the ability to set the password of the local admin account on the device, both Windows and macOS now. And then it rotates the password every so often that you choose. I think by default it's 30 days. And that means that you get an individual password on that local account for each of your devices. And this is really designed around our zero trust security story, right? We don't want every computer to have a shared local admin password across the organization. If one of those devices is compromised, then we have lateral movement across the organization. So we want to implement lapse. And it's been great for Windows. A lot of you, I've talked to many of you and helped you implement this in your environment. We now have a solution for macOS. One caveat that I want you to be aware of is that it is restricted or limited to only being set during enrollment with ADE. So the Apple deployment engine being able to get those devices out there. You'll have to enable this through enrollment. So for the existing devices that you have in Intune, we don't have a mechanism to light that up post enrollment, but moving forward, you should be able to get that. So that's really exciting to see, and I'm looking forward to your feedback on that one. The final update from the Apple side of things inside of Intune is that we also now have app protection policies being able to block screenshots with a mobile application management. So if you've used app protection policies inside of Intune, we utilize these again from a security perspective, a data governance perspective, ensuring that managed devices and unmanaged devices, we're not going to have data leakage outside of the organization, so we can restrict things like copy paste out of our standard Microsoft 365 apps such as Outlook and Teams, so we can prevent that data from being leaked. But the big ask has always been, yeah, but Garrett, what happens if a user just takes a screenshot of that information and then sends it off? MAM policies or app protection policies didn't prevent against that. So that was always kind of a gap that we had, but we now have support for that across all devices, iOS and Android specifically. So that's a really welcome change for those of you that are using app protection policies. All right, I have 12 more minutes. Isn't that ironic? 12 tracks, 12 more minutes. Okay, a couple of Intune Suite updates. If you're not familiar with our Intune Suite solution, this is a separate add-on cost or add-on solution. It is a separate cost for education customers. It's like $2 per user per month, $1.50 per user per month for students, but brings a lot of great value into the Intune platform. Things like endpoint privilege management, remote help, which is actually included in A3 and A5 customers. You get that solution for free. Enterprise app management, that's our third-party patching solution. Advanced analytics brings lots of great troubleshooting tools, such as device timeline to see when specific event IDs occurred on a device. And then finally, Cloud PKI, allowing Intune to actually act as a certificate authority and being able to deploy certs to those intra-join devices and really reduce the complexity of having an on-prem CA in your environment. So lots of goodness inside of the Intune suite. But I wanted to share just a few updates for the Intune suite that I think you're all going to be excited about. So the big one is wildcard support for Intune endpoint privilege management. So being able to design our rules to be able to elevate specific processes or tasks that our users, our standard users, I should say, inside of Windows will be able to elevate and execute. We now have wildcard support, so that should greatly simplify the rules that you have to build. If you're not familiar with this, kind of think about it like app locker. Building your app locker rules can be kind of time intense and costly as you tweak everything, and so wildcard support is going to make that a lot easier. The second one is the Enterprise App Catalog. This is our third-party patching solution. Now those apps are supported inside of the enrollment status page for autopilot, so we can actually utilize those as blocking apps within the ESP, which is super cool to see. The big one that I wanted to share with you all is actually it's a coming soon motion, but it's officially made it to the M365 public roadmap, which is that with remote help, we will have unattended remote help for Windows in January. Right now, it's targeted for January 2026. So hopefully, as a late Christmas present to you all, we'll be able to deliver that to you. Again, that remote help solution is already included in A3 and A5. And if you're a longtime ConfigMan customer and you're used to that remote control capability, we haven't had that in Intune. And that unattended support specifically is still a gap in the remote help solution. So really excited to deliver that, and I wanted to provide you all that update there. The last one from an Intune perspective is Intune Copilot. So we live in the age of AI, or the era of AI, sometimes we refer to it as, and Intune is no different, right? We've got an Intune Copilot that you can now interact with. We've got specific skills to be able to interact with, you know, vulnerability management and application deployment and different things like that. So lots of great use cases within Intune to be able to leverage Copilot. I think this was a video that's supposed to share with you. I don't want to talk over this, but you can see there's now an Explorer tab. If you have logged into Intune, you've probably seen this Explorer tab. In order to actually interact with it, you have to have Intune Copilot. This is actually provisioned through Security Copilot, so you have to have an SCU provision in your environment. So again, a separate cost, but lots of great capabilities that we are now bringing to bear to really simplify endpoint management inside of Intune with Copilot. You can see here, we're just doing a demo of getting all the Windows devices that are company owned and non-compliant due to a threat protection level, right? And we quickly see this brought up. So from an advanced reporting capability, from security perspective, to be able to act on these devices very quickly, Copilot's going to be an integral part of this solution to help you quickly automate these devices into a group so that you could target scripts or other policies to those devices and get them remediated. So if you haven't played with this, if you've got Security Copilot, definitely check it out. I've been playing with it and I've been pretty impressed with the work that they've done so far. It's worked very, very well. Just be aware that it is a separate cost there. All right, I'm going to skip through because we have like 7 minutes left. Windows 365 link. So from our virtualization offering, if you have not heard of Windows 365, this is the ability to deliver a cloud PC to your users. With the cloud PC, it is a personalized, persistent desktop that they can access 24/7. We have a few other flavors of that meets the various needs of organizations, especially higher ed institutions like labs, for your users. But one of the coolest things that we've introduced in this space is we now have a first-party, essentially it's a first-party thin client to be able to connect directly to those cloud PCs. So it's a lightweight box. In fact, I've got one right here. Let me unplug it here for you. You can see it. It's very small, very lightweight, very secure. You actually manage this device directly in Intune as well. When you first boot it up, it will actually prompt you to connect directly to that cloud PC. So if you are in a scenario where you have some hot desking or call centers or specialized services where you are supplying a virtualized environment for your users, these thin clients is a great solution for those areas. And actually in the Microsoft Office, I saw some today in the various stations where you could just go sit at a desk. There's the Link device. It's connected to 2 monitors. It's got dual monitor support, mouse and keyboard. I was able to open it up, right, wake it up, and then signed in as myself and connected directly to my cloud PC. And all my files were there, right, everything where I left off the first time that I used it. So Pretty slick solution. It's about $350, which isn't bad for it. Again, it's fully managed inside of Intune, so it makes sense from an endpoint management perspective because that's where Windows 365 is managed. So check that out and hit me up if you have any questions on this one, or you're looking to seed a device or something like that for testing. I mentioned a couple of different SKUs for Windows 365. So we've got the enterprise SKU. That's that dedicated, personalized 24/7 on SKU flavor, if you will. We also have our frontline SKU, and the frontline SKU allows us to have a desktop that's provisioned for individual users, but they may not be accessing it all at the same time. So think like shift workers. You may have users come in and work for 8 hours, and then another person come and connect for 8 hours, and so on and so forth. And you can only procure one license, but you get 3 cloud PCs for that. Why am I telling you all this? Because one of the cool things that we've introduced utilizing these frontline SKUs is cloud apps. So we now support remote apps as provisioned through Intune for users to be able to connect to directly. So there's a Windows app. You can actually download this through any of the major stores, and you can access it through the web browser. Once you have Windows 365 Frontline in your environment, it uses the shared mode where it's non-persistent use, but we can now provision a cloud app. So being able to access, your Office apps or another line of business app that you just need to provide remote capabilities for, we now have a managed SKU for that. So this is in public preview today. We're hoping that it'll go GA around Ignite time. We'll see if that holds. Things can slip, but right now it's a pretty slick solution for being able to deliver those remote apps and not have to provision like Azure Virtual Desktop or another solution in your environment that's a little more costly and complex. Okay, just a few more minutes. Windows 365 Reserve. This is also part of our Windows Resiliency Initiative, being able to deliver a cloud PC to those end users whose physical devices are no longer capable of booting, or they're having hardware troubles with it or something around those lines. So you can actually procure a few different licenses in your environment kind of on hand. And what you can do is if that physical hardware goes down for that user, you can quickly provision them a cloud PC that will belong to them. It has, their identity tied to it. They can access their files on OneDrive, access their mail, access Teams, etc., and at least keep them going. They'll get about 10 days of use of that cloud PC, so enough time to remediate that hardware that they may be using in their environment. So this is something that you can procure as an extra cost, but it's a much cheaper than doing the standard Windows 365 SKU. So it's meant for you to have kind of as an insurance policy to be able to keep your users productive should they have a hardware event occur that provides them at least a temporary device to stay productive. So really cool initiative to see kind of coming out of these resiliency initiatives that we've enacted, and I've gotten a lot of good feedback from customers that are looking forward to this. And then the last major update that I have is that we just brought external identity support to Windows 365 and Azure Virtual Desktop. So if you have contractors or other external users in your environment that you're looking to supply them a secure entry point into your tenant and manage certain applications in your environment or what have you, you can now issue them a Windows 365 or Azure Virtual Desktop machine and provision that using B2B, Entra B2B. And you have to supply, the license for the cloud PC, for example, to them, but they'll be able to get that within your environment without having to have, an internal account created for them. They can use their own external account brought into Entra. You license that account, and they'll be able to authenticate to your tenant inside of Windows 365. So that's a really exciting. This has been a long time ask for customers. We're excited to deliver this. It's in public preview. It just went into public preview maybe a week and a half ago. So really excited to see that. Couple of things, right? Similar fashion with Windows 365 and Azure Virtual Desktop. You would access this through the Windows app itself. And for our AVD gurus, FS Logic's support is not there yet, but we're open to feedback on that one. So there it is. 1 minute to spare. My last update is, just a little bit of advertising to come join us at EDU Endpoint Office Hours. This is me and my team, and we talk to education customers again all about what's going on in the endpoint world. We would love to see you there. So registration link is right there. We'll throw it in the chat for you. So yeah, Heather, I'll turn it back over to you.
I mean, Garrett, they think you are co-pilot humanized. So that's a compliment. I mean, that means you've got the knowledge, man. And I
Yes.
cannot tell you, y'all, I say this a lot, but I'm going to say it again. I do not look forward to any call more than I look forward to this one. Like the chat, the information, the sense of humor. I love all of it. And Garrett, the colors, man, that's a true friend, y'all. I just need you to know that's a real friend. Not only was
That's
he
right.
here to present, but he was like, how can I also just be cool to my friend Heather? So
I got you.
they're Taylor Swift hard hands for you, Garrett.
Always. Where's my friendship bracelet?
Yeah. All right. So everybody, I told you next week we've got a surprise. It's good stuff. We can't talk about it because we'll get our hands slapped. And as we tell you, we like our job, so we're going to stay here. But we hope that you'll join us next Thursday. As always, we love you. Thank you for joining us. And Garrett will we'll just volunteer you to come back.
Yeah, always.
Because he's going to need to. But everybody have a wonderful week, and we will see you again. I will get this posted. Garrett, are we able to get slides from you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll send them to you. Yep.
Amazing. All right. We'll
Thanks,
talk
everybody.
to y'all later.
Great to see ya.
Bye.
Bye.